All right, this video goes over average rate of change. Average rate of change is just the slope formula. Which function has a greater average rate of change on the interval -1 to 4? The interval that's given to you is x values. So -1 in this table and 4 in this table, and then they give you an equation. So these are two separate things. You're going to do the slope for the data from this table, and then you'll do the slope for the stuff from this equation and decide which average rate of change is greater. So we'll call this x1, y1, x2, y2, and then we'll calculate the slope. So m equals y2 minus y1, 81 minus 1, all over 4 minus -1. We'll throw that in our calculator. 81 minus 1, 4 minus -1, we get 16. All right, so that's the first equation. The second equation, or the first function, the second function is this p of x. This one's m of x, this one's p of x. So I don't know what's happening at -1 and 4. So I'm gonna use the table on my calculator to figure this out. Go to y equals 3 raised to the x plus 1. And I have like 1.3, and then I also have 4 is at 82. So I'm going to do the slope with these. Here's x1, y1, oops, x1, y1, x2, y2. So I'm going to do y2, which is 82, minus, or y2 minus y1, which is 1.3, over x2, which is 4, minus x1, which is -1. Throw that into my calculator. 82 minus 1.3 repeating. I'll just put a bunch of 3's in. 4 minus -1. So I get like 16.13 repeating. So the question says which function has a greater average rate of change? So this one is greater, so I have to indicate that. So I can either say the equation is greater than the table, or I can use p of x and m of x. So I'll say p of x is greater. All right, so one way to deal with an equation is to go to y equals and then look at the table. Here's another one where you have to compare two slopes. The population of China in millions can be modeled by the function that gives you a function, p of x, where x is the number of years since 1900. The population of India since 1900 is summarized in the table below. So you have an equation for China and a table for India. Which country's population had a greater average rate of change between 1950 and 2020? So let's do the table first. That's India. We're going to do 1950. So 1950 is 50 years. We're looking for an x value of 50, since that's 50 years since 1900. 2020, if you're not sure, right? Subtract that from 1900. That's 120 years. So that'll be this one. So you've got x1, y1, x2, y2. So y2 is 1380 minus y1, which is 376.3. x2 is 120 minus 50. So we've got 1380 minus 376.3, 120 minus 50, 14.3. Okay, China has the equation. So if we typed this into the calculator, we would have to scroll to 50 and to 120. So that seems like a little too much. So for China, I'm just gonna write theirs as points this time, but I'm gonna just plug in 50 in for where it says x. So I've got 316.93 e to the 0.0133 times 50. So 16.267. And then for 120, I've got 1563.498. X1, Y1, X2, Y2. So I'm going to do Y2, 1563.498 minus Y1, 616.267, all over 120 minus 50. Now, if I want to be totally accurate, I can use like these, these decimals, this minus that, and then 120 minus 50. So I get 13.5. So the question is, which one had a greater average rate of change? India. All right, next one says, in the town of Skaneateles, New York, house prices since 2008 have changed based on the function. It gives you this. T is the number of years since 2008. H of T, this is not H times T, it's just function notation. H of T is the median house price. Determine the average rate of change for the median house price in Skaneateles from 2010 to 2018 to the nearest dollar per year. 2010, how many years is that since 2008? So this would be 2 years. So we're going to plug T equals 2. And for 2018, that's 10 years. So we're going to use 2 and 10 for our points. Now this one, we could go to the table because 2 and 10 are not that big. Oops. 200,000, 1.045 raised to the x. So 2 is at 218,405, and then 10, 310, 594. So we're going to do x1, y1, x2, y2. So y2, 310, 594 minus y1, 218, 405 over 10 minus 2. 310, 594 minus 218. 10 minus 2. Oops, I just typed the wrong thing in. 10 minus 2. All right, this says round your answer to the nearest dollar. Came out like this. So I'm going to click math and then decimal to make it a decimal. So I get 11,520, and this 3 is going to go up to a 4 because I'm rounding to the nearest dollar. So this means that the house prices have increased by $11,524 per year. You need the per year. They haven't increased by 11,524. They've increased by that much per year. You need the rate. All right, the last one says an initial investment of $1,000 reaches a value V of T, again, function notation, according to this model. Determine the average rate of change to the nearest dollar per year of this investment from year 2 to year 7. So this is another one where you could go to the table or you could just plug it in. I'll go to the table. So year 2, we're at 1082.8567. And then year 7, we're at 1321.29. All right, so we've got x1, y1, x2, y2. So 1321.29 minus 1082 0.8567 all over 7 minus 2. 1321.29 minus 1082.8567 all over 7 minus 2. And this says round to the nearest dollar, so I don't want any decimals, so 47 is going to become $48 per year. These are all rates. So $48 per year, this is dollars per year. Well, this doesn't have a context around it, but this one does. This is talking about people per year. Well, it's actually not 14.3, it's 14.3 millions of people per year. Same thing here. So every time you do average rate of change, you do have to know, if you have to interpret it, just know that it's a rate. If it's ever a negative number, that just means your numbers are decreasing instead of increasing. Like they're not going up like they are here, they might be going down. All right, that's average rate of change.